Welcome to Autonomy CEO Corner. I'm your host, Dennis Dicker. In this episode, we'll cover incident management. As you scale to support more people, incidents will occur. So let's cover that. Kyle China will once again be in the CEO Corner, and he'll cover medication and expense management with Phillip and parenting skills with Maxine. And then we'll end with a demo showing you how to access local listings. When you're providing community services, incidents happen, especially with those with behavioral support needs, or even anybody with healthcare needs that's outside of a hospital setting. The hospital has all the resources in one place to get the attention someone needs. When out in the community, you need to report those problems so that the person can get that assistance and follow up that's needed in a timely manner. And so one of the main things when you do provide services in a community setting is incident management, proper incident management. In most states, they do share the number of incidents and the number of incidents that are open and closed. And that's something that CMS does in the office of, can't remember off the top of my head right now, but CMS is one of the offices that are very strict in resolving incidents for home and community-based services. All right, let's see here. Again, reports. Let's see here. One second. I was on the whole time, Shayna. All right, so what was I sharing? All right. So as far as the incident, an incident can happen at any given moment. The key is to be transparent. You don't want to be afraid when an incident happens or feel like that you're going to get like something's going to happen to your agency. It's going to close down as a result of the incident. You shouldn't think that way. That's more of a reactive type approach. And one wise man a long time ago said, you need to be, or most agencies out there are reactive and wait for an incident to happen to really start to figure things out. And the goal here is to be more proactive about the types of incidents that could happen and making sure you have all the documentation in place so that you can resolve the incident in a timely manner. And what I'm sharing right here is the actual certified investigation manual that allows DSPs or DSPs can go through to become certified investigators. Tyron is a certified investigator, and he helps agencies resolve incidents or close incidents that are open because of injury, a medication error, abuse, neglect, or restraints, or even death. Tyron is, he has stories, he has case studies. So as far as things that do happen in a community type setting, um, right now you're getting a lot of COVID type cases. We were talking about a COVID case where right now he actually would like more investigations or incident reports related to someone actually going to the doctor, asking questions related to if they have it or not. Right now, in most states, the requirement to report is only if you actually get tested, not if someone close to you has been contacted by a contact tracer or something like that along those lines. So most states are changing these regulations very often right now, and they're trying to find a place where they're not being bombarded by so many incidents that are being reported. Based on the severity of the incident, you're required to have a certified investigator. All right, it was mostly around these critical incidents, all right, where someone needs to, because a direct support professional could be the one that's involved in the incident. A certified investigator is that third party that can write a report about the incident, gather all the documentation related to the incident, gather all the trainings related to the actual DSPs to make sure that they knew what they were doing when providing the service, to see if they are at fault, gather documentation to see if your agency is at fault. And that's the role of that certified investigator, to really come to a conclusion to see who's at fault. And it is a document that could be shared in court as well. All right. For those that are going through licensing, we do cover all these bases in your policies and procedures. And the goal of quality management, risk management, incident management is to have that documentation in place to help certify investigations, all right, or have transparency on what the way forward is. In case you do have a high number of incidents, how can you lower those incidents, as far as on a management side, on a training side, on the types of consumers you're actually providing services. Maybe 24-hour care is not best for you and your agency. It's all based on the systems that are put in place. All right. And for those that are going through licensing, and we are broadcasting this in the group that those are not going through licensing, you have so many incidents that can occur. And most agencies deal with this process manually. And when you do deal with these types of processes manually, it does take a lot of time away from service delivery and the time that you're putting into improving the outcomes of the individual based on their support plan. And early on, I wanted to automate this process in a way where, because states require maybe your investigation to be resolved within 20 to 30 days, why aren't these incidents being resolved in a 24-hour time frame or a 48-hour time frame? So I really took a deep dive into really figuring out the workflow and all the people that come into helping an actual investigation be resolved in a 24, 48-hour period. And that's what's built into autonomy now. Because once you're providing services, you want to make sure that those that do need to be interviewed by the certified investigator are interviewed. The site has has been documented as far as if there are any pictures that need to be taken, or there are so many factors that go into actually reporting an incident properly, to help the certified investigator, someone like Tyron, do their job to the best that they can. If they are scrambling through paperwork, trying to ask additional questions to the actual DSP, it could really delay service delivery. And in some instances, the DSP can't work until the certified investigation is resolved. So it does help overall if you can resolve the incident in a much shorter time frame. There's a lot to go over in this type of document. I love sharing this document with those that are going through the licensing process. This is a job of the future. As more and more people transition out of nursing homes and hospitals, there will be more people in a community type setting or living in their own home, that there would be different types of incidents that do happen. And what in this day and age, since not everybody's on the best systems, a lot of people still use paper. There's still a standard approach to resolving these incidents. Right. See if there are any questions here. Right. I don't have Facebook up because I have so much material that I want to share. If you could just ask the questions in the comments, I'll be sure to answer them, and I'll be sure to share them with Tyron. Again, he's a certified investigator, and I'm currently sharing Certified Investigator's Manual. Most states don't have these types of practices in place yet. So we're actually bringing such an advanced approach to investigate service delivery to many states, right? More than 5 years ago, I started training DSPs to become certified investigators. It's definitely doable, right? Currently, right now, most agencies, they just contract with a certified investigator as needed. And again, I think that's more of a reactive approach to service delivery. Why not have certified investigators a part of the overall service delivery long term? Why not be able to have a certified investigation of just service delivery once a quarter or something like that? So that's really the goal here, is to have more documentation related to service delivery instead of waiting for something to happen. And it's all about the burden of proof. I don't know if anybody is interested in Criminal Minds or any type of court shows. It's more about documentation rather than hearsay. And when you have a system in place where you have a timeline of everything that's going on, everything related to the actual individual that you're providing services to, everything related to the actual staff, you pretty much have the needed requirements to shift that burden of proof from your agency or from your staff to whomever has that allegation. All right. All right. So Shana just shared an incident that I had with my agency. We had whatever you could think of. When you're providing, especially 24-hour care, you'll get allegations all the time. And so um, you'll if you're providing a structured environment to someone that's otherwise would be an institution, they could very well turn against you because they're not used to such a structured environment. And as a result, they could lie to their family members, and it could be an allegation. It could be an allegation of neglect. It could be an allegation of abuse. And so again, the key here is to document everything. Document their moves before the incident actually happens. And that's what we do. We document their moves, document what was presented to them beforehand, so that if something does happen, we could see that shift in real time and how that happened. But yeah, there were incidents related to medication. If someone's maybe traveling and their medication is still at home, and there's a 2-hour window where they can administer medications. That was something that happened early on. Hold on one second. Another incident related to 24-hour care. In 24-hour care, there's so many regulations that could be covered. And for example, a family member could come to the house and look in the refrigerator and see that there's no food. That's considered neglect if there's no food in the refrigerator, even though that day could be a shopping day. So again, the key here is to document everything, because what if the consumer just ate everything right before the parents came in? At the same time, there could be an allegation of most of the time is related to neglect, because if it's not followed based on the state regulations, it is neglect. If there is anything related to abuse, you are supposed to contact the state as well as remove the actual consumer at the same time. All right. But most of our incidents were related to neglect, and that's usually when you get an allegation. And again, you want to shift that burden of proof because it's their opinion against your facts. All right. We had one incident that, which is one reason why I continue to improve the application. When you have DSPs that, so many DSPs at different locations, you want to be able to make sure that they're following the ISP, not just for the overall service delivery, but for that day. And when you have so many things that could go wrong, you want to make sure that they know how to provide the service. They know all the likes, dislikes, where that person cannot be around. And so there was an incident when a DSP did not follow the actual activities for that day, and they ended up in a place where the actual consumer participated in activity that they were not supposed to as a result. All right. So one, follow-up action plan was to include that actual geofencing, more proactive way of, after you give them the actual activity, be able to automatically manage that activity without actually contacting them or seeing where they are. With this type of technology, it is possible now. All right. And this was over 5 years ago, and most systems still don't include that. But yeah, that was one reason why geofencing is being implemented. All right. And Tyron will share many examples as well. There's a major case where someone was going to the mall and with their an individual was going to the mall with their DSP, and the DSP just looked away for maybe 5 minutes, or maybe they were shopping, and then the consumer was lost. They left the actual mall, and they ended up a couple miles away, actually died. Right? So things do happen, and the actual DSP, if they don't have the right systems in place, things could go wrong. You know, if that DSP was able to communicate and be transparent with what's going on, they would have been able to get proper help at a faster rate, right? But most of the facts were not shared in a timely fashion, so the results with something like that could be harsh. All right, I'm just trying to see what else I can. All right, we have another question, Shayna. Did you see or hear about fraud, abuse, or neglect that required a certified investigation with traditional home health care? Yeah, those scenarios definitely do happen. Abuse definitely happens. And again, with the types of systems that are in place, it's hard to actually know that they're happening until a much later time, which is really not good. Right? Right. I mean, as far as fraud, you hear about fraud all the time. I believe Elwin. All right, so this is a pretty. This was last year. 41 busted in $1 million overtime kickback scheme in Elwin. All right, and so when I see things like this, of fraud cases, Elwin is probably one of the largest agencies in Pennsylvania. All right, and something like this should not have happened, and is a result of the systems you have in place. Uh, you know, people should not be able to bill if services are not provided. So something like this um, happens all the time. Sorry, sorry to mention it, but it happens all the time. It's unfortunate. These are real tax dollars. Right? And the problem is, which is the reason why there's so much turnover um, in this industry, is because you don't see the actual managers or the people that um, really put together these policies and procedures. You just see the workers. I want to see the actual people that implement the quality management plan, um, that are responsible, because it's all about the systems that are put in place. If there were better systems in place, these people would not have even been able to do that. Right? So yeah, these happen all the time. And what I say is, what if these people were actually doing it right? I mean, what if you can provide an agency, or you can offer services without this crap, you know, without these kickback schemes or whatever they want to involve in. You know, they're you can actually provide services without all this. And that was my approach starting off. I said, you know, they can continue to do what they're doing, but what if you can actually provide a service without all the negative things that come along with these other agencies? And that's when you really take a look at it, as far as all these existing agencies that have been around for 150 years, it doesn't matter, because their systems are outdated. The people that are actually fulfilling these missions don't have any interest in doing, um, providing a better service. Right? There are some agencies that have been trying to do better, but when you see such services, or such crime being done by these large agencies, it's really bad. Right. So it looks like from this type of incident, several housing sites, they're talking about 24-hour housing where people are documenting overtime. Again, this is a result of paper documentation, not being able to see in real time if someone is at a site or not. It's all on paper. When everything is on paper, it can be forged. All right. Cool. So hopefully that gave everybody a overview scare of the types of incidents that can occur. Just keep in mind that something like this services can be provided in a better way, and these types of scams or fraud or abuse or neglect is a result of the systems that are in place. Right. And Tyron will be sharing tons of more case studies and things that did happen as far as what he had to investigate. He shared with me all types of stories with HIPAA compliance. All right. All right, cool.
working with Philip, his goal is to have his own household, have his own family. And Philip needs a little bit of help remembering to take his medication and managing finances and the maintenance around his home. So one thing we would do is use an approach called performance management, which is an applied behavior analysis method. The DSP and I and Philip would come up with a basic daily checklist, a to-do list that Philip would fill out each day. He'd know exactly what he has to do, and then he could just check them off on his own as the day goes by. And the DSP wouldn't be the one checking them off. The DSP would be the one checking up with Philip to ensure that Philip is doing this. So again, it's from the get-go shifting the independence and the problem solving over to Philip. And us as the staff, the DSP, myself, we would be helping Philip to learn to use this method, just a basic checklist, to achieve the mundane kind of daily goals that he needs to do. Take his medication, balance his checkbook, count his resources that he has if he needs to go shopping, whatever it may be, with the end goal being helping Philip learn how to make his own daily checklist and execute those things on there and cross them off. So again, overall for Philip, the idea is that he wants to become independent enough to have his own house and his family. So Philip has to learn how to manage, almost like a project, several different tasks in a day that need to get done in order to move forward towards his overall goal. Talk about behavioral skills training and how we can use that method to help the individuals we work with acquire and learn new skills. We're going to talk today about Maxine. She's 45, she has a 5-year-old daughter, she has a job, and she is diagnosed on the autism spectrum and with schizophrenia. Maxine, having a 5-year-old daughter and a full-time job, wants to learn some better parenting skills. She wants to improve as a parent. So when she comes to us and says, hey, what can I do? We can look, there's basic behavior management practices that parents can use, such as tell your child what to do instead of what not to do, use positive and neutral interactions instead of negative interactions. You want to, reinforce them when they do the right thing. Basic stuff. You want to spend enough time with them and give them enough attention. So if we can identify, one or two of these, let's just say, tell your child what to do instead of what not to do. We can help Maxine learn this using a method called behavioral skills training. Behavioral skills training consists of instructing somebody in what to do, modeling for them how to do it, watching them practice it, giving them feedback, both corrective and supportive, and then assessing them in that same situation once they've acquired the behavior later on. So for Maxine, we could work on telling her child what to do instead of what not to do when she's, trying to, reprimand or prompt her child. When her child's having a temper tantrum. We can show Maxine how to do that. We can role play with Maxine, what that would look like. Then Maxine can practice it with us as if we were the kid, so she can, practice, get a little better, and then work with her own daughter. And we can give feedback as Maxine practices Hey, you did that right. That was perfect. Hey, that time you said don't, too many times. Let's try and focus on telling her what to do instead of what not to do. And then finally, once she's practiced enough, we can assess her each week, each month, and how she's improving her parenting skills. So that is a way to use what's called behavioral skills training to help somebody we work with acquire a new parenting skill. You can use behavioral skills training to help somebody acquire any skill, from making a grilled cheese sandwich to driving a car, as long as you instruct them in what to do. A lot of times that could be almost like a checklist or a flow chart. Instruct them in what to do, model for them what to do, watch them practice, provide them with feedback, and then conduct an assessment to make sure that they can use the skill in the real world in the way that they need to.